546 BC, two elite armies of Sparta and Argos face off in the largest mass duel in history. On one side of the battlefield stands 300 elite warriors from Sparta, and across from them, 300 of Argos' best. In this clash, victory does not just establish a foothold in the region, victory would decide the fate of the entire war. 300 champions from both sides, but there can only be one victor. Hi, my name's Adam, I'm an ancient Greek reenactor and history enthusiast, and I invite you to please join me today as we revisit perhaps my favourite battle in history, the Battle of Champions. During the Archaic era, both Sparta and Argos continued to grow in size and power. Sparta would seize control of the region of Laconia and also conquer the neighbouring region of Messenia, establishing its early reputation as a military power. Argos would expand in the region of Argolis and rise to power by implementing many economic and agricultural ties. With both of these Peloponnesian superpowers growing, a conflict was inevitable. According to Herodotus, Sparta's original intent was to conquer the entire region of Arcadia, but decided to focus their effort on the city of Tegea after receiving a warning from the Oracle of Delphi. This city was situated just outside of the Valley of Laconia, and control over this city would grant Sparta easier access to the rest of the Peloponnese. There were a number of military operations which would take place between Sparta and Tegea, with both sides winning and losing certain engagements. Of these many clashes is perhaps one of Sparta's most embarrassing defeats. After receiving a promising message from the Oracle, the Spartans bought chains to use on their enemy, who after losing the battle had those very chains used on them instead. Soon after, Tegea was taken, and Sparta's borders once again grew in size. With this new area of land belonging to the Spartans, Argos and Sparta's borders were now touching, which caused several smaller military conflicts to occur. Sparta mustered a force to take the fertile lands close to Thyrea, an area with good relations to Argos. In response, Argos sent its army to intercept them. Both sides then set up camp on opposing ends of the plains, but neither side made any moves. Both armies were massive, and if a battle were to break out, the loss of life would be devastating. Seemingly because of this, the commanders of both armies commenced negotiations. It is not known what was said for certain, but each side agreed to send just 300 hand-picked men into combat. 300 champions. To whichever side won, the fields of Thyrea would go to, and hence the outcome of this war rested on the shoulders of just 300 men. It must have been a great honour to have been chosen as one of the champions, but at the same time, the nerves, adrenaline, fear and anxiety must have been colossal. Another part of the agreement was for the bulk of the army to disperse, making it impossible for them to affect the battle in any way. With the armies gone, just 300 soldiers remained on each side, and the Battle of Champions was about to begin. The two armies stood at either end of the field, the best soldiers in both armies, hand-picked by their generals to decide the fate of the entire war. After descending to the designated field of battle, it is likely that both forces stood idle for a time, eyeing their opponents and hyping themselves up for the battle which was about to begin. The armies moved towards each other and smashed together in brutal combat. Not much is really said about how the battle was actually fought. We do not know if the champions fought in the more classic tight phalanx formation or in a more loose individual way. What we are told, however, is that the forces were both very evenly matched and the fighting continued into the night. Likely, the forces started out in some kind of formation, but would have broken out of it due to the sheer amount of time spent fighting, resulting in more one-on-one fights taking place, or a mass duel of some 600 soldiers. As hours fell into the past, so did comrades. Both forces whittled away at each other, and by the time the sun had set, only 3 men remained on the dance floor of Ares. 2 men from Argos, Alcenor and Chromios, and 1 from Sparta, a man called Athrides. The Argives, thinking that they were the only surviving champions, pulled out of the battle and returned to their army to spread the news. However, Athrides remained at his post and dressed as dead, and also built a trophion, or victory monument, which by the rules of engagement meant that the Spartans had won the battle. After both armies returned to the battlefield, understandably they both claimed victory. The Argives had more surviving men, but they had left the field, and the Spartans had remained at their post and dressed the field. Out of 600 champions, 597 had fallen. The result of the dispute between armies caused a full-scale battle to occur, which was exactly what the Battle of Champions was meant to stop from happening in the first place. After the champions had laid down their lives to save the larger masses of their ranks, a full-scale battle would take place anyway. The Spartans and Argives lined up in full force and moved towards their enemy. This battle would not just decide who could take the land, but who could claim the victory for their fallen champions. After a bloody battle, the Spartans prevail and push back their Argive foe, securing the region for Sparta and honouring the sacrifice of their champions. The loss of life was not yet over for the Spartans, because Athrides, the lone survivor of his company, returned to the battlefield. Rather than return home, he felt dishonourable that he was the only survivor, and felt that he belonged alongside his fallen brethren. So, he took his own life, and lay with the rest of the champions. According to legend, it was this battle which was the reason for Argive men wearing their hair short and Spartan men wearing it long. It was said that until the Argives would take back the land, they would keep it cropped short, and the Spartans would keep it long to honour the victory. Though this is likely a myth, it is another interesting piece of information to go along with this legendary battle. The Battle of Champions, the biggest mass duel in history. But who do you think won? And do you think the sacrifice was worth it? Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned something along the way. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider checking out some of the historical based merch items from my store. The link is in the description. Thank you very much.